Na, na, na. Yeah. Yo, what is good, y'all? I want to thank you for tuning into another edition of About That Action. Today, I am your host, Shaquan, and we're going to be going over how the Big Ten did, looking at some upsets, talking about the Jaylen Waddle injury, and much, much more. If you're enjoying this content, please subscribe, leave a like, tell your friends, help the channel grow, and let's get straight to it. So, starting off the Big Ten, we're going to be talking about the Wisconsin Badgers. Redshirt freshman quarterback Graham Mertz, in his first debut, played absolutely the perfect first half, going 14 for 14, 190 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He finished the game with 20 for 21 passing, 248 yards, and 5 touchdowns. They win huge over Illinois, 45-7. What a way to start off the Big Ten coming back into the college football world. Next, I have Ohio State in their dominant season opener against Nebraska. They ended up winning the game 52-17 behind a great all-around game, starting from the Heisman contender himself, Mr. Justin Fields. The guy went 20 for 21, 276 yards passing, 2 touchdowns through the air, and another 54 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Master Teague also ran for 2 touchdowns. An OU transfer running back Trey Sermon made his debut. The guy had 11 carries for 48 yards. No surprise here, wide receiver duo Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave played very, very well. Wilson had 7 catches, 129 yards, and a touchdown. Olave had 6 catches, 104 yards. He did get hit pretty hard. One of the plays that had a fumble, but you know, it happens to the best of them. I want to talk about true freshmen, Jackson Smith and Jigba. This guy had one of the insanest catches I've seen in a long time. The guy went up, had a catch like this, looked like he was heading out of bounds, somehow managed to turn his body, contort it in a way where he was able to get 1 foot in bounds for a touchdown. I'll put the video up right here.
A 5-star player. You look as he's trying to get that control. He may have gotten that foot in. Goodness.
Smith and Jigba, for your first game as a true freshman, way to make your name known. Defensively, Ohio State, they played pretty well. They had 2 fumble recoveries, 1 returned for a touchdown that was forced by Gehanna's very own Jonathan Cooper. Yes, sir, we love to see it. Overall, with my first impression with Ohio State, they looked good. I expect them to continue to steamroll over the rest of their opponents, and they look like a playoff lock in terms of the Big Ten. I don't see any teams in the Big Ten really pushing them. Depending on how Michigan continues out, we'll see. In upset news, the Indiana Hoosiers, they took down number 8 Penn State Nittany Lions. Like I said in the first video, I have Penn State winning this one. I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana won, though. Would not be surprised. I had Penn State winning, but I wouldn't be shocked if Indiana won. And guess what? This is my non-shocked face. Sean Clifford threw for 238 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He also had 119 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown. Unfortunately, the amount of turnovers that Penn State had, it allowed Indiana to remain competitive in the game, and it ended up costing them as Michael Penix Jr. was able to throw for 170 yards, a touchdown, and an interception, especially in the crunch time. He delivered in the end zone, threw a dot to his receiver, and then followed it up with a 2-point conversion run, running all the way to the left, jumping from, I want to say, like the 2 or 3 yard line, and he stretched it towards the pylon, able to tap it and win the game in overtime. So that was a pretty big game. Another one, Northwestern versus Maryland, absolutely took a turn from what I had anticipated. Northwestern must have heard that shit I was talking and took offense to it, because they ended up dominating 43-3. This game kind of hurt my heart. Talia Tungavailoa, that guy is the starting quarterback for Maryland. He was a quarterback, brother of Tua Tagovailoa, who is a Miami Dolphin now. But he transferred to Maryland with Coach Loxley. He's playing there now. He did not have his best showing. The guy only threw for 94 yards, and he had 3 picks. Maryland was not able to get the run game going either. They only had 57 yards on the ground. Peyton Ramsey for Northwestern had a decent game. He had 212 yards through the air, and he added a rushing touchdown and throwing touchdown as well. Collectively, Northwestern did pretty well on the run. They had 325 yards and 4 touchdowns with over 500 yards of total offense. Next, we got Iowa versus Purdue. This game was pretty close. Iowa was up 17-14 at the half, but only managed to score 1 field goal in the 4th, while Purdue was able to match that. Also, they added a touchdown on top of that, so they ended up winning 24-20. I was more impressed with Purdue because they were able to pull this off without their top player, Rondale Moore, who we know is a first-round talent, should be a Big Ten first-team player. The guy was very solid in his first 2 years at Purdue. I'm expecting him to, whenever he makes the return, to pop off like they did. Both teams, they need to clean up their turnovers. However, they played pretty well overall. So continuing the turnover talk, let's talk about a team that just could not stop turning the ball over. I mean, they just kept losing the rock. Michigan State versus Rutgers. Michigan State, they threw 2 picks, and they had 5 team fumbles go the other way. That is 7 turnovers. And you want to know something crazy? Just throw a little fun fact on top. They only had 50 yards rushing. You can't win a game with 7 turnovers and running for 50 yards as a team. You got to do better. Huge factors in why they lost. Rutgers offensively, they were able to score more than Michigan State. They didn't do a great job either. They ended up winning 38-27. Rutgers, congrats on the win. Michigan State, I don't know what y'all were doing. It wasn't a pretty game. A lot to fix on both sides of the ball. I'll give it to Rutgers. Congrats, welcome to the Big Ten, I guess, winning your first game in a long, long time. So just to round off the Big Ten, let's talk about the dominant 49-24 win number 18 Michigan had over number 21 Minnesota. Joe Milton threw for 225 yards and a touchdown. He also added another one on the ground. Collectively, as a group, Michigan ran for 253 yards and 5 touchdowns. Minnesota was able to string together some good drives, but not enough, as Michigan was too overwhelming offensively and defensively. They proved me wrong. I had Minnesota with the upset, but let's see if they keep this momentum going forward. So heading into the SEC, there is, and y'all, my Bama fans are going to hate me for this, I want to talk about Auburn. They have 2 guys who look not too shabby, man. Freshman running back Tank Bigsby, and then wide receiver junior Seth Williams. They have been explosive playmakers. I think they could make Auburn legit. Bo Nix ain't playing trash. He's not playing good either. So, I don't know much. I don't expect much for Bo Nix, but offensively they have some talent around them. So Tank Bigsby has ran for over 100 yards in his last 3 games, and then Seth Williams has emerged as the leading yard leader, receiving leader, and then receiving touchdown leader, despite having less catches than Anthony Schwartz, who is the team leader with 34. So catching the ball 10 less times, he has 440 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think it's pretty impressive for Auburn. We'll see how they continue to play, but enough of them. I don't like them. Let me rant to y'all a little bit. I'm a little pissed. Just got done talking about Auburn. You know how much I dislike him, but for me, I am hurt, man. I'm pissed. My man Jaylen Waddle, number 17 for Bama, had to represent today. I'm very hurt. The guy got hurt opening kickoff against Tennessee. I'm not mad that he took it out because he's a playmaker. That's what playmakers do. But he was a little bit deep in the end zone. But, you hate to see it. It's an injury that could happen anywhere on the field at any point in the game. So just one of those unfortunate injuries. I hope he recovers soon, painless. Hope it's very smooth and he's able to be back to 100% soon. But with that injury down to Waddle at Bama, that leaves us a guy down. And it's not just any guy that's down. It was also one of our biggest weapons. Over the course of the season, in just 4 games, the guy has caught 25 balls for 557 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's had over 100 yards receiving every game he's been playing in. He's a big-time playmaker. He can score from 90 yards, 87 yards, 80 yards. He don't care. Throw him the rock, he's going to go score. But, it's a huge blow. Next man up, how I feel. So based off what I saw against Tennessee, Slade Bolden was not too shabby. He showed some glimpses last season, but nothing crazy. This game, he showed a lot more versatility. He was able to go out on the slot. He's kind of like the white Lynn Bowden for Bama. Goes in the wildcat, will line up in the slot, could be next to Mac Jones. Doesn't really matter. You can see Slade Bolden kind of lining up wherever, whenever. He's just as athletic as the average receiver out there. So I kind of liked him. He's going to be replacing Waddle. He was also the backup punt returner. So, as long as he doesn't drop anything there, I hope we don't have to utilize him in ways where he's not prepared. But overall, I think it's a legitimate team. I'm not too worried about the receiving core. We still have John Mechie, who is just absolutely tearing it up. Devontae Smith going crazy. His numbers aren't like majestical or anything, but his impact on the field, blocking, being a leader, drawing attention from the defense towards him, he's always going to allow someone else on his team to pop off if he's not able to pop off himself. In general, Najee Harris running the ball, absolute demon. The offensive line overall has looked well. Center Landon Dickerson moving men against his will. Alex Leatherwood, Milt Ekiord. Hopefully Deontay Brown can stay a little bit healthy, but I think that this is a very legitimate team. Defensively, we looked a lot better against Tennessee compared to the other teams that we've played. We did give up some big plays. I think Jordan Battle got beat on a deep fade. So did Surtain. Malachi Moore, the true freshman, is looking very legit. Another turnover, and this time it was for 6. The guy punched the ball out, followed up, picked it up, ran 6 the other way. Kind of showing Marlon Humphrey flashes. I can kind of see it going on. In terms of the third down, we were able to stop them a little bit more. We forced Tennessee 4 to 16 third down conversions, which is huge. We gave up 7 for 16 against Georgia, 10 for 17 against Texas A&M. So I'm just kind of glad that we were able to get our defense off the field on third down situations. In terms of field goal, I am more than pleased. Let me knock on some wood. I am more than pleased. Will Reichert, whatever you're doing, continue to do it. Will Reichert is 4 for 4 on field goals, and that is including a 52-yard field goal. That is something that Bama has not been able to do, is kick the deep field goal, just kicking field goals in general. He has also knocked 26 for 26 extra points, and I think we are in a very good position. Hopefully he can stay healthy. I believe Alabama is a national championship contending team. We just got to stay healthy. We got to keep playing well, learn from our mistakes. Enough about Bama, though. I know I don't have that many Bama fans on the channel. I want to get right into the Heisman race, so that now Ohio State, the Big Ten in general, is finally in college football. I think it's time for me to put my top 5 Heisman players out there. And at number 1, this is nothing crazy. I have number 1, Trevor Lawrence, QB, Clemson. He should be up there. He's playing God tier against the ACC. Mac Jones is my number 2 player. He's playing very well. A lot of people would say, oh, well, Justin Fields should be number 2. I have Justin Fields at number 3. And it's nothing against him. He's only played one game. The one game he played in was insane. The guy had, 20 for 21 passing, 3 total touchdowns, and a dominant win over a Big Ten opponent. So I have Justin Fields at number 3. Wouldn't be surprised if he moves up to number 2 next week, depending on how Ohio State plays against Penn State. However, like right now, those are my top 3. At number 4, I have Zach Wilson, quarterback, BYU. He adds another impressive game on top of what he just did. So this guy added 287 yards passing, 4 touchdowns through the air against Texas State, just adding on to that impressive resume. And at number 5, this is kind of controversial. A lot of people would put Travis Etienne here. I think he's doing pretty well. Travis Etienne right now has 522 yards rushing, 8 rushing touchdowns, 22 catches, 294 yards receiving, and a receiving touchdown. I think the number 5 player is Najee Harris from Bama, and that sounds biased, but I want some damn respect for the guy. Okay, he has 499 yards rushing, 11 rushing touchdowns, and he is a threat out the backfield. He doesn't get targeted a lot, but he's that safety net that Mac Jones can get to when he's looking down, averaging about 10.8 yards a catch. So that's almost a first down. Actually, that is over a first down, unless, we're down like second 11 or some shit. But I think Mac Jones is utilizing Najee Harris right. He's finally being utilized correctly. So he's putting up impressive numbers. And his 11 rushing touchdowns is insane because the next person to have on that list only has 8 touchdowns. And it's actually a 3-way tie with Spencer Brown from UAB, Breece Hall from Iowa State, and Ulysses Bentley. They all, Bentley the 4th, they all have 8 rushing touchdowns compared to Najee's 11. So Najee has an entire game of touchdowns, even if you and that's if people score 3 touchdowns. So at the number, so the new AP Top 25 poll, I have Clemson at number 1, Alabama number 2, Ohio State, which I said last week would take Notre Dame's spot at number 3. Notre Dame slides down to number 4. Georgia is your number 5 team. Oklahoma State stays the same at number 6. Cincinnati jumps up into number 7 after a dominant win over number 16 SMU last week, 42-13. Texas A&M is your number 8 team. Wisconsin is your number 9 team. And then Florida is in at number 10. BYU is at 11, and they swap with Miami, who is number 12 now. Last week, Miami was 11, BYU was 12. They make a mini swap. It doesn't really matter. It's not too big of a deal. We're still halfway through the season, kind of early into the season for some teams. So they will just need to continue to dominate their games if they want to move up in the rankings. Number 13 is Michigan. This shocked me. I did not see them winning this game. But Michigan proved me wrong, so we will see. Congrats to them for making the number 13 rank. 14 is Oregon. Number 15 is North Carolina. Just based off of last week, I want to say I think North Carolina losing to Florida State was an absolute fluke because Florida State played like hot ass against Louisville, and North Carolina destroyed NC State. So number 15, North Carolina, I think they are where they are, where they need to be. That loss against Florida State was not good, but they are still a very dominant team. I think it was just a fluke. I expect North Carolina to push for a ACC spot against Clemson. Number 16, Kansas State, dominant win. 17, Indiana. They make an appearance after a huge win over Penn State. And they're actually one spot over Penn State, which is number 18. Penn State drops 10 spots. At number 19 and number 20, Marshall is in at the 19th spot. They're 5-0. Coastal Carolina is in at the number 20 spot, still 5-0. So they are looking good. USC is in at number 21. SMU drops 6 spots after a blowout loss to Cincinnati, which, you know what, 6 spots at 22 is not bad. Iowa State comes in at your number 23. At number 24, Oklahoma makes a reappearance in the top 25 after a big win over TCU. And to round off your AP top 25 poll, I have number 25 Boise State. So I want to go into reviewing the predictions I had from last week. The first game I had was number 1 Clemson versus Syracuse. Clemson ended up winning that game, so I was correct. Number 5 Ohio State versus Nebraska. I had Ohio State winning. Ohio State did win. Number 23, NC State versus number 14, North Carolina. I had NC State winning. I was absolutely wrong. North Carolina shut me down, shut me up. I lost that prediction. Number 20, Kansas State versus Kansas. I had Kansas State winning that one. Kansas State, thank you for making me proud and winning that game. Number 25, Coastal Carolina versus Georgia Southern. I had Coastal Carolina winning. They did just that. Auburn versus Ole Miss. I had Auburn winning, and you know what? It was not pretty, but Auburn get it done towards the end, and you know what? That's all that matters is the dub. Oklahoma versus TCU. I had Oklahoma winning. They got that one right. Florida State versus Louisville. I had Florida State winning, but they just got beat down so bad. So I believe it was a fluke against UNC. Maybe Florida State isn't bad. Maybe they just showed up the right time against North Carolina. Maybe North Carolina didn't show up against Florida State. Who knows? But Florida State, another big loss to Louisville. Michigan State versus Rutgers. I had Michigan State winning. They had 7 turnovers and ran for the ball for 50 yards. They ain't winning no games like that. Rutgers take that one. I was completely wrong. Number 22, Marshall versus FAU. I had Marshall winning that, continuing their dominance. They win that one. Number 2, Alabama versus Tennessee. Bama won that one. I was correct. Number 3, Notre Dame versus Pittsburgh. Notre Dame won. I was correct about that one. Number 17, Iowa State versus number 6, Oklahoma State. I had number 6, Oklahoma State winning that game, and they in fact did. Number 8, Penn State versus Indiana. I said I would not be shocked if Indiana won that game, but I chose Penn State still, and they let me down, so I was wrong. Number 19, Virginia Tech versus Wake Forest. I had number 19 Virginia Tech winning, but Wake Forest said absolutely not. We will take that from you. I was wrong again. Texas versus Baylor. I had Texas winning, and that is exactly what happened. Iowa versus Purdue. Iowa was supposed to win like I projected, but without Rondale Moore, Purdue still took the game from him. Kentucky versus Missouri. Even though Kentucky came off of a big win, I had Missouri winning, and they absolutely did just that. West Virginia versus Texas Tech. I did not think Texas Tech was winning that game. I had West Virginia, and guess what? They did not win that game. Texas Tech showed up big. South Carolina versus LSU. I had LSU winning, and they did indeed win. Number 18 versus number 21, Minnesota. Number 18, Michigan. I had Minnesota winning that game. Absolutely not. Michigan shut that shit right down. Maryland versus Northwestern. I had Maryland winning. Northwestern absolutely took disrespect to that, and they whooped Maryland. Number 11, Miami versus Virginia. I had Miami winning that, and I was correct. Number 9, Cincinnati versus number 16, SMU. I had Cincy winning, and they did. Their quarterback, Riddler, absolute demon. Boy, got wheels. Number 12, BYU versus Texas State. Sorry. I had BYU winning, and they did just that. So I will leave a screenshot right here showing you my teams or the games I got right and wrong, and then you can kind of evaluate if I'm asked at this prediction or not. Here is my next week predictions. I have number 19 versus Florida versus Florida International University. My apologies. So number 19, Marshall versus Florida International. I have Marshall winning that. Minnesota versus Maryland. After that performance last week, I think Minnesota will take that win. Boston College versus number 1 Clemson. I have Clemson absolutely winning that one. Number 5, Georgia versus Kentucky. I have Georgia winning that one. Memphis versus number 7 Cincinnati. I definitely have Cincinnati winning that one. Michigan State versus number 13 Michigan. Come on. Number 16, Kansas State versus West Virginia. I got Kansas State. Number 20, Coastal Carolina versus Georgia State. I got Coastal Carolina. Number 23, Iowa State versus Kansas. I'm going to take my chances with Iowa State. Kansas, abysmal. Purdue versus Illinois. I got Purdue. Wake Forest versus Syracuse. Wake Forest shut me up last week, so I'm going to give them their respect. Wake Forest, you got the dub this week. UCF versus Houston. Last week, Dylan Gabriel played absolutely insane. I would take UCF again. Number 4, Notre Dame versus Georgia Tech. If Georgia Tech plays like how they did against Clemson, I'm expecting Notre Dame to give them an ass whooping. Number 9, Wisconsin versus Nebraska. This one's a little bit tougher. I'm going to put my money on Wisconsin. However, their quarterback, Graham Mertz, did just test positive for COVID and could be in quarantine for 21 days, according to the Big Ten rules. I'm not 100% sure if this is confirmed. I believe he's still taking tests, so it's not 100% confirmed, but I know that if he tests negative a few more times, he won't have to go to the 21-day quarantine protocol. But if he does, this is a huge blow for Wisconsin. I don't know if they will be able to have the same level of success. I believe Wisconsin is a better team than Nebraska overall, so I will still have Wisconsin winning that game. Number 17, Indiana versus Rutgers. I have Indiana. TCU versus Baylor. I would definitely be taking TCU. LSU versus Auburn. This is a kind of a hard one. LSU, I think, is not playing with Miles Brennan, which is a huge loss. Their starting quarterback, Seth Williams, Tank Bigsby, they have been looking good for Auburn. So I'm going to take my chances and roll with Auburn, even though I don't like them. Northwestern versus Iowa. I'm going to choose Northwestern just because of how dominant they were last week. Texas versus number 6, Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State is the best team in the Big 12, and I think they're going to show it again. I have them winning. Ole Miss versus Vanderbilt. I'm going to take Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin. It's time, buddy. Show me a win. Number 25, Boise State versus Air Force. I'm going to take Boise. Mississippi State versus number 2, Alabama. Mississippi State is also the team that took down LSU at the beginning of the season, but they ain't taking down this juggernaut. I got Alabama winning that one. Number 3, Ohio State versus number 18, Penn State. This is a pretty big game, but based off what I saw last week for Ohio State and Penn State, I'm taking Ohio State, and I'm also taking them to win the Big Ten in general. Arkansas versus number 8, Texas A&M. I'm going to be taking my chances with Texas A&M. Kellen Mond's a legit quarterback. Just needs a little bit of help overall from his team. A little bit better decision-making, but I think Texas A&M is a very, very good team. Missouri versus number 10, Florida. I believe this is their first game back after a few weeks. I'm going to be taking Florida. Navy versus number 22, SMU. I'm going to take SMU. They're going to bounce back after that loss. Number 15, North Carolina versus Virginia. I think North Carolina is going to be playing with a little bit more anger, so I'm going to take North Carolina on that one. Number 24, Oklahoma versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech shocked the world last week. Well, at least they shocked me. I still got Oklahoma winning that one. And then Western Kentucky versus number 11, BYU. I'm going to take my chances with Zach Wilson there. I want to thank you guys for tuning into another episode about the action. If you're enjoying my content, please subscribe, like the channel, or like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, help me grow. In terms of how the season goes, let me know what you think, who you guys are rooting for, what you guys want to hear, what you guys want me to cover. Hopefully, for me, the rest of my Bama boys can stay safe. We can make it to the playoffs, win the national championship. Good luck to your teams. Stay safe and stay blessed. Thank you. Na, na, na.